Hello team, today's challenge is string zipper, where we're given two strings and we need to merge them into another string. So in this case, we start with the index zeros, which is A and 1, then B and 2, then C and 3, and that is our final output for that first test. So on a setter down the line, these ones transform into the alphabet. Day and night, day being shorter than night, we need to figure out what to do with the last characters. They just go in the end, and we keep figuring it out. Okay. There are a few interesting bits in here that we'll talk about as we go through, but for now, let's just get it started. So right here, my first thing is to figure out which one is longer, A or B. I think in the case of here, they put the shorter one as number one, but I don't want to guarantee it like that, right? I want to make it as flexible as possible. So right here, I'm going to go max length just like this, and I'm going to set that as an equal and go math dot max is sending in a dot length, b dot length. Brilliant. And then we use that in a for loop. So for let I equal 0 and I is less than max length I plus plus, right? Pretty standard stuff. So with that, we need a way to capture something. We do that outside of the loop. So right here we go let output equal a quote. Could be double, could be single. I don't care. I prefer single just because it's easier for me to type, right? One letter, but I keep hitting that shift button anyway. So interesting times. But output, okay. We're going to concatenate, so plus equals to whatever is on there. So we're going to build on here and build on here and keep adding stuff to the end until we get it done. Okay, what does that look like? Well, we take the I letter of A and the I letter of B, and we put them on there. So A, I, just like this, plus B, I, since we're already in here. And then down here, we could go output, and this won't work. Why? Because this could be undefined, or this could be undefined depending on which one is shorter, right? Once we run out of letters in either of these words, but we still haven't hit max length, now we're getting undefined. And when we concatenate undefined to a string, we get the literal word undefined, which is not what we want, right? So right here, we can guardrail that by adding parentheses and nullish coalescing, too many question marks. Excellent. And right here, parentheses, nullish coalescing, brilliant. And now it works, right? Since we're here, we should also throw a test. So if what? Well, if type of A not equal to string. So what we're checking here is we're checking to see if A and B are both strings. In this case, we're doing it the opposite way, okay? So we're going to say if A is not a string or type of B is not a string, okay? And it must be in quotes. Don't mess that up, okay? Then throw new error, just like this. We're going to say what? Args must be strings, okay? Still works because we don't actually have any tests for that, but I would say that this is a stronger way to do this. And the reason for that is because they could throw anything in here, right? Never trust user data. It could be anything. And if it's not a string, then down here, this could either break or blow up or do both, right? So let's make sure that we're actually getting strings, and that way we can test the thing. Now, enhancements, okay? And if this is all you wanted, then congratulations, we're there, right? We found the length, we iterated over that and built out a string and sent it out the door, okay? And it works. Excellent, okay? Some enhancements that we could do would be, what happens if I want more than just two arguments, right? Maybe I want A, B, C, all the way to Z, right? Or maybe more. Maybe I want to zip up 100 different strings. That's a lot, but I don't know your use case, right? It could be. So let's make it a little bit more flexible. I'm going to grab this, bring it down, paste it in. And instead of trying to create all those arguments, I'm going to use the rest operator, okay? Which basically says, if I have not caught it, so I could actually still have A in here. And then anything that is not A would get sent to an array called rest, okay? I definitely want that in there. And rest is not really useful to me in this case, so I'm going to change it to strings, okay? But at this point, we can change some things. So we go and grab this, cut it out, deleting everything else in here, just like this, and going strings dot sum, okay? And with this, we're going to check each individual string. What are we going to check? Well, it's going to be type of, right? Type, not type of A, but type of string. And if any, let's do it right, str, there we are. So if any of these strings are not an actual string value, then we throw our error. Great. How about the max? We can do this too. In fact, it's exactly the same. This time we use the spread operator. So they look the same, but they have different uses. So right here, string, this one is the rest operator. You're basically sending the rest of the arguments into an array. This one is the spread operator. You are taking that array and breaking it apart into individual arguments. The words, man, words, they're tricky business. So math.max, we spread it out, which gives us this, okay? From here, we need another thing, okay? You know what? I actually need another thing right in here first. And that's because even though I'm spreading out the string, I'm not getting the length. I almost missed that, okay? So right here is map. And we're going to, again, send in string and return string dot length, okay? So with that, now we're getting those lengths into this bit, which is great, right? That's exactly what we want, so that we can find max length, so that we can do this. And then down here, we need another for loop, okay? We used to have A and B, and now we have as many strings as there are. So for each string, we need to go through and grab that individual letter, if it exists, okay? So for let string of strings, lowercase strings, just like this. And what are we doing? Well, it's the exact same thing. We're going to do that, but we're going to clean out, getting rid of this first part, changing A to string again, and that should do it. Why doesn't it? Taking a look. Oh, because this is strings, I betcha. Yeah. Misspelling variables, right? So right here, again, making it stronger. So now we can send in any number of arguments. It kind of ends up looking like this, actually, if we bring in some comments, right? We send in ABC123 XYZ, right, as individual strings right here. Well, the rest operator turns them into an array, which is what we have right here. And doesn't that just look like a matrix, right? It's an array of strings in this case, but it could be an array of arrays, right? So the rest operator and the spread operator, very useful. Again, we had to do some looping with the sum and the map, but it gets it done. And because it's a matrix-like object, we're generally in it for these two loops as well. So we loop over the rows, and then we loop over the columns. I've mentioned that before plenty of times, okay? And that does it. Now, my final bit on this is around the idea that this is strings, okay? Because for me, that bugs me a little bit. The reason that it bugs me is because I have never, in all the time that I've been a programmer, I have never zipped strings. I've just never had a reason to, right? That seems so weird to me that we would do something like that. But I have had reason to zip arrays, okay? The reason for that is because maybe you're trying to get keys and values next to each other so that you can turn that into an object or into a map, right? Something like that. So being able to zip arrays seems better to me. And if we can do that while still being able to use it here because strings are iterable, right? Arrays are iterable, strings are iterable. If we can do that and make it useful, then we should be in a good spot, right? So One more time, I'm going to grab all of this, do this, going down. Excellent. And my first step is to create a new function called zip. Okay. Now in here, I'm still going to do the same thing, but I'm going to call it args because I have no idea what I'm sending to this. All I know is that it should be iterable, right? And we could in fact do that. There are ways to test if something is iterable. You're basically checking to see if it has a method called symbol.iterable, I think, or symbol.iterate, I forget. Quick Google search will let you know what that is. But for now, I'm going to leave that part alone and just focus on making this work. And the truth is that we already have this. So if I grab everything except for my my string check up here, and I copy it and I bring it up, paste it in, now I can make some changes. So I had args. I had strings before, sorry. We're going to change that to args. String, not really useful. Let's change that to arg like this. Down here, output is okay. Again, strings should be args and string like this. Arg, except we're no longer creating a string, right? We need to backtrack out of this because this should be an array, which means that this should actually be a push, okay? Pushing just like this and doing some stuff. Now, sorry, getting the dot in there because I noticed I forgot. Do we worry about empty strings in this case? We could get rid of that, okay? In fact, we could do a condition like this. We could actually check arg I, making sure that it exists. If that's true, then output, otherwise just skip it, right? This is a little bit dangerous because if the arg I is 0 or false, if we're passing in an array of trues and false, right, then this would fail. So something to note, but for today, this gets the job done. And then down here, we can actually go and clean all this out and go const zipped, just like this, going zip and sending in our strings. Again, just the same way that we did before. And then down here we go zipped dot join because now it's an array, right? So we get that join and we join on what? It's an empty string and it still works, okay? This is something that I would encourage you to keep playing with, keep working at, because again, I've zipped a lot of arrays, but I've never zipped a string. The key here being that because of the nature of this function, the way that it iterates over anything, so long as you can iterate over the thing, you can do what you need to. Okay, so we passed in strings, it was still able to work. If we passed in arrays, it would still work. And I'm sure that with a little bit of tweaking, it would work for things like maps as well, right? So if you can convert it to an array or something that is array-like, you can get to this, okay? Which means that this is more useful. And down here, we leverage, even though it's looking for arrays, we leverage that and join it up, okay? That's where I would end it today. And this feels like a really good, solid solution. It is more code, but it's more likely that you're doing this than this, right? Something to think about. Up here, we started with just 2 strings, and we kind of knocked it out quickly. We checked for which one is longer. We looped over them and joined them all up and then sent it out the door. Then we made it a little bit more flexible with our second time by making it as many arguments as you want. So you could send through 3 arguments in that case. You could send through 5 arguments. However many you need, you can do that now as arguments into this zip strings function, okay? A lot of the same stuff. We did have to change how we did this. So there's a little bit of extra work with the sum and the map, but small potatoes for what we're trying to do here, okay? And then a lot of the same stuff right here where we're just going through and joining it up to our output, sending it out the door. Great, okay? Then we leveraged a helper function, and this helper function is more likely in your future code where you're more likely to zip arrays than strings. But if you have an array zipping function, then you can also use it to zip strings, right? That's kind of the nature of it. So making it as flexible as possible and sending it out the door. Again, not every solution, just hopefully one or three half decent solutions, right? Let me know in the comments what you think of this, right? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you find another way, right? Put all that in the comments. Otherwise, today this is being String Zipper, and I will see you tomorrow.